You go.
Kind of. What's that word?
All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is November 6th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Ayer. Here. Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. 7 present. We have quorum.
All right, we had a meeting on October 30th, last Wednesday. It was a regular meeting and we're looking for a motion for approval on the minutes. Moved. We got a motion by Mr. Neff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion.
There's, under visitors, it talks about Warren Cohill,
Right.
and it's actually Warren Owen. Is there an S? Is it Owens or Owen? Owen, Warren Owen. So
Thank you.
please make that adjustment.
That adjustment.
That motion was made by Dave Martin, DAVEMARTIN.
Ready for a roll call?
It's David Martin.
Of course.
You deserve that.
I holistically accept your edit.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Give a
Mr.
second.
Grumney.
I didn't hear it. Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Ayer.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas, minutes passed.
Good deal. We are on to the visitor section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak with City Council? All right, thank you. We are on to committee reports. Ms. Dreyer,
I have none.
Mr. Grumney, Mrs. Cooper.
I do not have any.
Damon has a long one. Mr. Martin?
No.
Mr. Neff?
Yes, I have a long one, actually. So we had a very thorough, in-depth parks meeting tonight. We talked about the math walk over at Jerry. They're talking about putting 10 posts with like a kind of like a storybook trail, but it'll be a math trail. So we'll have the kids will compete as to which problem they'll get to be up there, placed up there for a year, and their problem will be displayed. They're pretty cool because they're going to try to bring in a little bit of local math problems that we see every day, like everyday math problems, as far as like figuring out your height based upon your shadow, which was pretty cool. We did go through a little bit of the park updates. So we are going to be getting some temporary signs at Old Orchard and Evening Street, if anybody would like to see. And we talked a little bit about financing, kind of scratched the surface on some financing for J.R. Smith Park. So things are progressing forward with that. We talked about the lighting at Old Church because we think that a lot of people may not be parking out there because it's dark. So possibly putting in some lights there. Really, that's about it. I think I got it all. Did I miss anything? Yeah.
Good. Thank
So
you,
it wasn't
Mr.
that
Neff.
long.
Thank you very much. Mr. Capel?
All right. Well, thank you. Carla spent the first good chunk of our meeting tonight in Services Committee talking about stormwater management legislation. So we had discussed this earlier in the year. It's basically giving us a legislative framework to hold developers and people who are developing properties responsible for stormwater pollution from runoff and sediment and dust clouds and whatnot that we've seen kind of frequently through recent history here in the developments. And this will just give us kind of a framework to enforce the policy and then follow up with fees and what's the word I'm looking for?
Inspections.
Yes, inspections.
If there's anybody in violation, there's escalation protocols and
Yep. So that's moving forward right now. Then we reviewed the engineering master planning document. This was mentioned in council here probably a month or so ago, kind of a follow-up on the format of the project tracker that Dan used to present. Carla's got a new version that is in the OneDrive, I believe. I'm not sure I remembered exactly where it was. Okay, excellent. It's really great. I highly recommend everybody have a look at it. It's a lot of information packed into one document, but it's not necessarily something that needs to be shared all the time. But if you have any questions about a particular development, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Then we talked about the Route 37 widening project. More or less, we're in the process of selecting preliminary design services. That is on council agenda for later this evening. And then we reviewed briefly the utility rate study project that's ongoing. Baker Tilly is going to be coming back with data to review with services committee in our next meeting to see where we are with that. All right, that's all I have.
Great
It wasn't
update.
that long.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
It's a long meeting. You did
It was
good
a long
job.
meeting.
It's a good meeting.
Yes, it was. Good work. All right, police report. We have Sergeant Holden here tonight. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Mayor. I'd like to start with giving you an update about our building. Columbia Gas did install a new meter and regulator on our building, and we're currently waiting for the final inspection for the occupancy permit from Delaware County. We're still operating on a temporary occupancy permit right now. As some of you may know, and some of you might not know, we have an open house tomorrow on the 7th. We're about as ready for that as we can be. We're very excited to have people come see the building, and we hope we have a great turnout. That being said, there's going to be 2 mobile signs that's probably going to be posted outside, giving people direction on where to park. There will be a gravel parking lot in the back of behind our building for most people to park at. So keep an eye out for them signs. As most of you know, trick or treat just went off and it was good. The weather wasn't quite the greatest, but we did have about 50 kids turn out to the police department. We would like to see that get higher as people figure out where the new police department is. We'd love to see more kids come trick or treating. We put a couple officers out amongst the community passing out candy and had a good turnout there. I'd like to speak to you guys about the radar signs quickly. There's an attached data sheet here, kind of explains what I'm about to talk to you about. We had 2 radar signs out on Sunbury Meadows near Yarrow Avenue. We had one facing northbound, one facing southbound. We put them up in the spring and in the fall. The data for these are on this turnout here. Looks like before the calming, there was an average speed of 22.3 miles per hour on Sunbury Meadows. And after the calming, it actually went up to 25.5, which is the speed limit. Southbound about reflects the same. If you have any questions on that, I'll try to answer them for you. Those 2 radar signs are going to be moved over to the school zones at GRE and Big Walnut Elementary, so on South Columbus and Miller Street. We have ordered 2 more signs. They should be here by the end of November, if not the beginning of December. And we're currently working on training 2 officers to assist Officer Laubacher with those signs. Sunbury Police Department's proud to host our first training event in our new police department. This training event is going to train new officers and other agencies surrounding us on the existing machines and new machines that are for the BAC. For you that don't know what that is, it's the machine used to analyze alcohol levels by breath. And we would like to thank the service department for getting the parking lot set up for that training. Anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions? All right, good deal. I just want to say, thanks for the radar sign data. It doesn't match up with what I see with my own eyes, but it is data. So I talked to the chief about that. I mean, I'm trying to prove my own argument here. Anyways, that the traffic calming did its job. I mean, the way I looked at it, as I looked at it for a long time, it's 190 less trips per day. So maybe people are frustrated with driving through there. I don't know.
Yeah, it might
but
be.
maybe they're using Route 3 in Granville. I went in with that hypothesis and proved it with the same data set. But it doesn't look like on paper that there's been any reduction in speed that doesn't jive with what I see with my own eyes and when I drive it.
I
So,
was just gonna say, when you drive it, don't you find you're driving slower?
yes,
Me too.
I do. So,
Yep.
Chief, do you want to come up to the microphone?
Well, I just like to say, we went down there on our vehicles, and what we do see is the same thing you're reporting. that
Yeah.
The traffic does seem to be going slower and, you know, before, they would just, fly up through there.
Right.
You put a cruiser down there, they slow down because they see the stripes and lights, and so when we go down the parking lot, Mark, we see the same thing that you're seeing, they're still slowing down.
Yeah.
So it doesn't match the data, but like you said, the data is the data.
Yeah, that's right.
It's always possible that the data collection is somehow skewed.
Oh,
It was a bad couple days. It was, you know, the wrong times of day. I know you were out and you gathered over a couple different days and a couple different times, but maybe it was just a fluke, a
Yeah.
bad week.
And the angles, I mean, that like, you know, I mean, you can get it generally pointing it in the same direction, but if it's off,
We did leave them up for an extra 7 days, so.
Yeah.
So that data shows.
you're the best. Thank you,
I've
Jeff.
asked some folks that I've run into a kid on my son's soccer team. We were talking and he said where he lived. And I was like, have you noticed? And he was like, it's been a lot slower. What? But he didn't even pay attention to what had happened. But he was like, something did change because I live right there. And he's like, he was real happy with it. So
And I do wonder, I mean, the fewer vehicles is a relevant data point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If people are just not taking that road because they know, I don't know why paint would cause them to not want to drive on it, but
we're using it as a quicker cut through.
right
Now
now
it's not
decided, well,
quicker.
maybe I shouldn't quit cut through that, and they're, you know, speeding up Granville Street instead.
I'm
One road at a time.
by what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Good deal. Great report. Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant Holden. All right, we're on to the administrator report. Mr. Hennessy.
So I just want to call out two opportunities that we're partnering with the Delaware Public Health District. One of those is residents will have an opportunity to dispose of their holiday lights properly, those that are not working or those that they're not using. The Delaware Public Health District reached out to us regarding this. We've identified a location, the municipal building. So if residents want to properly dispose of their holiday lights that they're not using anymore, this is the way to do that. And also, we later this month on November 23rd, between the hours of 9 and 12, we'll have a dumpster out at the service department building where people can drive through and dispose of up to 10 old passenger car tires at no cost to the residents. This is largely driven to reduce mosquito populations, but you know, it's also kind of a zoning improvement issue or code compliance issue as well. So really think this is a great opportunity. Really want to thank Amber for helping to coordinate this with the health department. So, and I'm pleased that you know, Sudbury can be a part of it. We've included flyers in there. You can see some other communities have done this and are participating as well, but I think this is the first year for us. So questions or comments?
Questions, comments for Mr. Hennessy? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to the engineer's report. Mr. Odebrowski.
Good evening. On the engineer's report, you'll see that I have added another category. As the Director of Planning and Engineering, I felt I needed to provide at least a category for planning when they had some items that I could share some information on. At the last council meeting, the mayor did give a brief update on these items, so I wasn't planning on going over them today. But in the future on my reports, you will see a category for planning when I have action items. Under upcoming major construction, I've been up here every other week, letting you know what's going on with the wastewater treatment plant. Mostly been delays, and I do have another delay. We are awaiting an update memo from CT Consultants, which we should have by the end of the week, so that we can take a look at the one bid that was received for the construction of the wastewater treatment plant expansion. And with that memo and evaluation, we'll be looking at next steps, and in 2 weeks, we should have an update. For design updates, the widening project was already mentioned. The first reading for the East Granville Street widening will be today for design considerations. And under other, for the spreadsheet that was mentioned, I did drop a copy for the members that were not in the service committee, so you should have a paper copy at your desk. Looks like this. And just to give a few pieces of information on it, the first page is actually two-sided, saving paper. Engineers update on one side, the other side has planning projects. So we're now trying to keep up to date on active projects or where we have items that have legislation coming forward to council. We plan on updating this document weekly, and it is saved on the OneDrive under the council folder. So I didn't drop it in 2024. It's the only Excel document in there. I did mention that if for some reason you have any trouble finding it, please send me an email. I'm happy to send you a link or an invitation to the document. We are also looking for feedback since this will be the first time many of you look at it. There are links in there, so please feel free to go in, click on the links. It'll take you to previous legislation, drawings, or documents from planning and zoning, depending upon what the category is. And again, if you see something or you'd like to see more or less, let me know and we'll try and find the right information to provide on the spreadsheet. Finally, it's color coded. We had a little bit of discussion about red, yellow, orange, and green, and whether or not red would indicate that, you know, there's actually a problem. Red indicates that it is a active topic, and I am trying to draw your attention to them. It does not mean that there is anything emergent on there, but we can rethink the color scheme, and we plan on putting a key at the bottom so that everybody can remember. Any questions on the spreadsheet? If you have some, please let me know at any point in time. And then the last update I wanted to share is that we met with ODOT to discuss projects in the surrounding area. This is something that happens twice a year. It's the first time I've met with them. So I got to learn a bunch of information that you guys are probably aware of just from being in the area, but it was a great opportunity for us to share our projects, for them to share upcoming projects as far as roundabouts that may be developed in the area so that we can start coordinating and looking for funding and just making sure that we're keeping communication open, not just to share the information, but also to make sure we're not detouring certain projects down roads where construction is going to be occurring. So a lot of good information there. And if anyone would like more information, just let me know.
Any questions for Ms. Odebrowski?
This is great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Awesome, great.
I think the planning division section that you added, I think that's perfect because oftentimes I don't know what goes on in the zoning meetings. And in regards to what is in there, I think something that I did go to that meeting, but in regards to what you have listed in there, something that we forgot or was not mentioned, and I know the city has taken over that road, which would be a portion of Vernon, but because the gentleman is moving forward with his business there, I think it needs lighting back there. So maybe between the city purchasing the road and this business, it would probably be a good idea to have some lights.
Yeah, certainly with the trail in that location, we can look to see what the lighting situation is.
Anything else? Thank you very much. We are on.
Thank you. Thanks for giving us this too.
Great
You're
job.
welcome.
We're under resolutions. Third reading, resolution 2024.19 remains tabled. Resolution 2024.24, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute a grant agreement and other documents as required by the state of Ohio through the Office of Budget Management for grant funding for a pedestrian bridge and related improvements to Granville Street as a segment of the Ohio to Erie Trail expansion project. We're looking for a motion on resolution 2024.24.
I'd like to make that motion.
Got a motion by Mrs. Cooper. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes,
Mr. Ayer?
Yes,
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
7 yeas, resolution passes.
thank you. No second readings. There is a first reading resolution 2024.26. A resolution naming the Sunbury Business and Technology Park, first reading. And we have a first reading resolution.
I'm sorry, but is there a name?
That is the name.
That's the name? Okay. I
Sunbury
wondered if that
Business
was
and
what we
Technology
were.
Park.
Oh, okay.
We'll put quotes around it for
It
you.
is kind of weird, like, I get where you
Yeah,
thought.
normally you would rename something into something else.
Yeah.
We're creating. This is manifestation.
It's naming, not renaming. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's right. Any other commentary? Anybody brave enough to make a?
I have a
motion to
confused
suspend the
look
rule?
on my face.
Always.
Nice thought.
All right, maybe we'll put some quotes around the title.
For clarification.
For clarification.
It does.
What's in the resolution?
There we go. I knew it.
All right.
That shows it, but there's, I don't know how you describe it, because it's all the different.
Just in a
properties
sentence,
in the
it's kind of
area.
hard to wrap it all up. Yeah.
I agree with what.
That's, thank you.
Oh,
Good deal. I trust you. You're on the same page. All right. Resolution 2024.27, a first reading, a resolution accepting a proposal from American Structure Point, Inc. for preliminary design services for the city of Sunbury's State Route 37 road widening and pedestrian bridge project. We did receive a comprehensive update on this in the services committee. No action needed tonight. Is that correct? Correct. Thank you. No ordinances. Let's go. New and unfinished business. Board vacancy and appointments. I do want to draw your attention. Mr. Hennessy, is it okay if I kick this off? Sure. Okay. To page 43 of your packet in the top right. And this is going to be a very busy end of year and a very busy beginning of next year due to the amount of appointments that this board will need to be made. There are 11 appointments, 7 of which are what I would call non-standard. This is the first charter review exercise, and that's not the right thing. We're required to do a charter review after 5 years of it being implemented. 5 years goes pretty quick, doesn't it? That's a 7-member commission. So we will have those 7 members. We also have 1 planning and zoning commission member, 2 board of zoning appeals members, and 1 personnel board of appeals member. We'll set up a standard process, I think, to probably look at these comprehensively. I mean, there's typically a time period where folks are saying, you know, I'm interested in these, and if I don't get this, I'll take that. We will work on that process. So there are 11 members, but I also want to mention that I did receive Mr. Murray Neff's resignation effective 12/31 of this year. So Mr. Neff, it's a blessing for you and your family. But he's accepted a new position with his employer, and we're very happy for you. So is there anything else you want?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an honor to serve in Sunbury for 3 years here on council, on the charter commission, on parks, and the fire board. It's been fun. I mean, it's where,
You don't have.
Where the heart is.
Don't apologize.
it's where the heart is. Yeah. So we always talk about the small town feel, and that's here. So thank you. It's been, I mean, the friends and the networks and just the people that I've been able to meet throughout this time has been a lot of fun.
That's right.
You go.
Moving north.
To the state up north.
Oh.
Oh, my
My-
goodness.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you.
That'll be it.
I was just gonna say, thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Enjoy.
But you'll still be a Buckeye fan.
Oh, absolutely.
And, tactically, Mr. Neff's putting in his resignation for the end of this year, effective 12/31 of this year. There may be some meetings he needs to miss or things like that, but we do appreciate your service through the end of the year as you're kind of traveling back and forth and juggling things. So we're here for you too. But with that said, we do have an obligation to fulfill, Mr. Neff's remaining 1 year of his term. And, that would be for the 1 year balance of his term. And, I had, our law director and city administrator research this beforehand, but our council rules and, the charter to ensure, my nomination of Tim Ghost for the remaining year of Mr. Neff's term was permissible. They stated it was, so I am making that motion for Tim Ghost to
And
fulfill.
I would like to second that.
We got a second by Mr. Martin. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas, motion approved.
So we've got 1 of 12 knocked out. And we have quite a few more. So Mr. Hennessy, and maybe I can toss it to you and just maybe we can talk a little bit about strategy, how we can move forward. Not that we need a fully laid out plan now, but at least we have a game plan of how we're going to address this.
Well, I can tell you what we did last year. Maybe you didn't like that process, so we can improve upon that. We did do a general announcement regarding all the vacancies that were going to come up at the end of the year. And we did that about this time, mid-November, and we asked for anyone interested in filling those positions to submit materials. I think we recommended that they submit a letter of interest and a resume. Not everybody did that, and it isn't necessarily required. But again, that's what we asked for. What we probably should do this year that we didn't do quite as well last year is I think we should ask them to indicate, additional boards that they might be willing to sit on. I think in most cases, people were responding to one of the opportunities and maybe not multiple opportunities. So we did have to go back and forth a little bit to find out who was willing to, or who was interested in serving on a board if they weren't selected to maybe their first choice. So I think we could definitely improve upon that. And then I think it was beginning in January. Now it's, and it's probably about the same timing. If we give people 30 days to respond, we probably won't really be ready to move forward with nominations at the second meeting in December. But beginning in January, I think what we did is we started to go through them one at a time, one board at a time. Which again, we can't, we can do it that way if you want to, or we can try to move through all the boards. As a kind of a general framework, the individuals were invited to participate in a council meeting. Generally, there was an opportunity for them to introduce themselves. You asked some questions. We did go into executive session to talk about the applications or the nominees, and then at some point kind of decided kind of what the strategy might be in terms of the selection itself. So it took us a couple of meetings to get all the way through that process. I suspect it may as well take us that long to do it again. Having said that, the charter is a time-sensitive appointment in that the charter or the charter commission, the language talks about forming the charter commission in January of 2025, and then they have, I think, until July to basically make the recommendations. So we really do need to jump on that group pretty quickly. But beyond that, I don't know.
Can we, just thinking out loud, can we shorten the window from 30 days to like 20 days or, set the deadline where it's expiring before Thanksgiving or something?
Yeah, we can do that. The one other thing I should have mentioned, we did reach out to everybody whose term was expiring to ask them if they were interested in continuing to serve. So that we would do that as well. But yeah, we absolutely, there's no set time in terms of how long the announcements need to be available. So we can do that.
We can maybe target having the applications in by the first meeting in December, then if it's going to take 2 meetings for sure to get through all these boards at least. 11 appointments.
Okay.
If someone is interested in their own position, they have to reapply, correct?
We did ask
It's
them to
not just
submit.
an automatic.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any legal guidance?
Maybe a direct mailing to the former charter commission members. You know, they sat through the initial formation. If they're willing 5 years later to be involved in the review, they bring that knowledge with them.
You can,
Something in the charter too, that like we wanted. One of the members at least to hold over. I thought we talked about that in the charter.
I don't think so.
Although,
I forgot what I was gonna say.
It makes sense to
Oh.
have both perspectives.
Can you serve on the charter commission? You can serve on the charter commission and the BZA, the board of, or did we ever? Last time we did, has it changed since then? Cause Rick Ryba was on zoning and on the charter commission. If we have to double dip, I was
Yeah,
just
mean,
wondering,
if
can
you-
we do that
yeah,
legally?
Let me talk to Dave a little bit more about that. I mean, the language in there talks about appointed electors holding no other elected office, so that actually is different than the other language. The other, for boards and commissions, for two of the boards and commissions, it basically says shall hold no other office. So that's, again, this is a little bit more, maybe it opens the door to more potential applicants serving or employment with the municipality. So we'll just talk through that and make sure we've got that clear.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll work on an announcement, get that out here relatively soon, get responses before the end of the month so that we can at least come to the December 1st or the first meeting in December with some sense of where we are with respect to you know, the number of people maybe interested in serving. So, and then we can kind of ferret out the plan, I think.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, dialogue that we want to have on this topic? Very much. Mr. Aaron, you were.
Actually, I did have one question. I was looking at and I think, I can't remember if you suggested this for the charter commission review or not, but we do have one planning and zoning member who's not on that January to December. She's on a May to May. Is that, were we ever going to correct that? And if we are, when and how do we do that?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we've talked about a couple of things. One is, do we align the terms to end at the end of the calendar year? And that would be an example, I think, of the one applicant you're talking about where her term is ending in the middle. And the reason for that is she got reappointed, I think, is it a 2-year term? Or is it a 3-year term? I can't remember the exact.
2 years.
Year term, yeah. So I think it was based upon when that action took place as to when the 3-year term expired. So I actually have that as a point for the commission to consider, the charter commission to consider. So I would imagine they'll take up this issue of when terms expire, what these appointments look like, when they occur, the thing.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we've also got
It might just be
examples.
that one, is it just that one or are there more?
Yeah, we've got others.
Okay.
And we've also got some where the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think, is a perfect example of this. We talk about having staggered terms, but yet I think 3 or 4 of the appointments all end at the same time. All the non sort of council members all seem to expire in the same year, except for Mr. Gokenhour. So we need to clean that up a
Yeah,
little bit.
I
too.
agree.
It's not quite as staggered as I think the goal, as the intended goal is.
4 and 2.
Yes, council members too. Yes.
Mr. Ayer, any new or unfinished business?
No, I just want to mention one item. I'm not sure if you all got an email from the Civic Pulse. It was put out in late October and it was on water infrastructure challenges from a Nathan Lee of the Civic Pulse. We all get those emails, I believe. Well, their questions was supposed to be on a survey of the quality of our drinking water. But I found out some of their, I don't know if this was odd to me. Several other questions, for example, one was, in general, do you think of yourself as very conservative, somewhat conservative, moderate, somewhat liberal, very liberal? Another one was, generally speaking, how much of the time do you think you can trust each of the following to do what's right? Federal government, state government, local government, always, most of the time, only sometime, never. I don't know what these questions really have to do with the quality of our drinking water. So I think I would be careful on what you fill out, what surveys you fill out. I'm not sure, I didn't submit it. It didn't seem, they didn't match to me. So I don't, if your inbox, I don't think it's, worthwhile to submit.
Anything else?
No.
Mr. Grumney? Mr. Capel?
Nope.
Mrs. Cooper? Mr. Martin? Mr. Neff?
Stand corrected. I was just looking at the charter, sorry. It doesn't say anything like that, but I know there was conversation about that, like where a lot of us want.
Right.
We served on
Back.
it. I can't. Virtually.
It's only a 3.5 hour drive.
And I think it is, just taking a quick glance at it, to Ms. Cooper's point, it's a prohibition against elected. And also, you have to be an elector. So you have to be a city resident and an elector. The prohibition against elected, or employed.
Employed by.
So appointed, like zoning is appointed, they're not elected, they're not employed. They-
I'm hoping we get lots of applicants, but if we don't, we have some folks who are already serving who we might be able to. Yeah. Thank you for confirming that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas.